Hello and welcome to Glitch Cube. We're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. As always, I'm Christian.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us once again as we dive further into the world of games. So this week we have some fun updates for you guys, some new ones checking out, some nice little cozy games to play around with. But yeah, it's been an interesting... probably like a month, right? Interesting month of gaming where there's new stuff coming out, but nothing like at that super grand scale that we've become accustomed to, right? It's a lot of the more open-ended style of games, the more the survivalist ones, the cozy games, the really just like play whenever you need a mood, right? Set. It's kind of like a nice little lo-fi playlist real quick. It's like you got a vibe that you need to meet, and that's what you're trying to go with some of these games that are out there. But there's some interesting ones too coming out, right? Some nice little genre bending stuff, some different things. And then on top of all that, we are keeping up with our game of the month as well. We'll probably be talking about that one next week, right? Because it is once again the month of the fox, right? So it's everything Star Fox, because there's a lot to talk about there, especially with the new announcement of the N64 remake again. Doing it again instead of just making another game, but comments on that for next week's episode. So why don't we just dive into today's? What are you playing? What's on your list? What big hitters are you taking care of?
Well, I told everybody that I wouldn't talk about this until I finished it, and I figured I'd get the long one out of the way before I talk about some of the smaller stuff I've been playing. But I finally finished Crimson Desert.
Nice.
I think I clocked about 180-ish hours in it, somewhere around there.
Well, at least you got your dollars worth, right?
Definitely. There's still, I did a lot in it. I did a lot of exploring. I've at least seen all the different areas for the most part. I've done, for the first, 3 regions, I did most of the side quests, and I did all of the Sky Island Abyss puzzles. I did all of them, and I beat the main game. So, which I feel like the people I've talked to about this game have not beaten the main story yet, which is understandable. The game is very long, but I feel like my feelings on this game, I remember the first episode I talked about it, I was like, I'm not really hot on this opening. It just it's not grabbing me. It feels off. The second episode where I had stopped talking about it, I was saying I was kind of coming around to it and I was kind of liking it. And, a lot of people were right where I'm just like them, where a couple hours in, I get through a couple of the chapters, I'm starting to enjoy the game. I went into this game with low expectations because a lot of the people I kind of like to hear their reviews were all kind of down on this game or refused to play it. So I didn't have a good idea of what to expect going in.
What was the refusal, or what was the big I'm trying to say the thing keeping people away from it? Because me, it's the time and the price tag. That's currently where
I think it's people didn't want this big open world game because you have to think a lot of reviewers, they can't beat a game like this super fast.
That's true.
After if you mainlined this game, you could probably get through it at a decent time. Probably 50 hours or something. The main story is pretty long, but the other thing people were complaining was just the controls, the gameplay at times. And the controls, they were terrible for the most part. And then they got better. And then they would throw some new mechanic at you that would just be god-awful. And I remember a few times it'd be main story missions where you have to do this new mechanic for that one mission. That's it. And it was just an unpleasant experience to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep playing this because it's really annoying, but I stuck through it. And I really enjoyed my time with this game. The other thing I was going to bring up was I was very hungry for an MMO, but I didn't want to pay for a subscription. I didn't want to devote all my time to an MMO, right? I wanted to be able to play something I can finish. And usually when that happens, I end up going to Kingdoms of Amalur just because that was supposed to be an MMO at that point. But this game, seeing as how it's the Black Desert people, I figured, this might scratch that itch. And it did. It really does feel like an MMO in many ways. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying in a good way. If you love things about MMOs like the fetch quests or, side quests that have a meaning and then a main story that is interesting at times, then it gets boring and then it gets cool, then you're going to love this game. I still think it's kind of a hard game to recommend for some people just because it is a very long game, even if you just mainlined it, because the world is huge. And I think for me, as I know there's been many episodes where I spoke about how I kind of just don't really care for open world games anymore because I don't have the time to just get lost in the game for hours without feeling like I'm progressing. But I did it in this game. And the thing that's nice about it is that they throw so many small things at you that you could go and explore, but you still feel like you're accomplishing something, right? Like, I'm going to go behind this waterfall and there's an item behind there. Now I'm going to go travel through this forest and it's like, I can't go here because there's a village here that won't let outsiders in. Like, there's so many little small things in this game that really, like, I'm trying to think of the best word to say this, but they make it worth your while to explore in a way that a lot of open world games the past, I don't want to say decade, but for many years, it kind of felt like you weren't really being rewarded for exploring, right? I always think back to Breath of the Wild and stuff because a lot of people were comparing this game to Breath of the Wild. And I think that's kind of like, it's weird because there's times where I'm like, yeah, I could see it with like one of the power moves you get and the exploration. But I think, no, if anything, it's maybe a mixture of that and The Witcher in the sense that the combat is closer to The Witcher. But
I think that if you get anything that is a big, expansive world where you can then use a hang glider to go through it, or hang glider type thing, right? Because there's that like lighting functionality in this, right? It's automatically going to be compared to Zelda, like forever and a day, right? Like it doesn't matter what it is. It's the same thing with like Souls-like games. It's like, this game was hard and you can parry. It's a Souls-like. It's like, no, like let it be its own thing, right? Like we don't have to compare everything to these titles. Sure, it might be inspired by, but
the puzzles on the islands in the sky, I mean, I could see people saying, it's like Tears of the Kingdom. And like I said, I did all of those puzzles. I think there's 40 in total. And I really ended up enjoying them. I was really surprised how much I actually liked them. And, once you complete all those, you kind of learn about the story. It's weird. They reward you for doing all that by learning more about your main character because you don't really learn anything about your character throughout the main story. I'm not going to say any spoilers in this because I know a lot of people are probably halfway through the game at least, or, nowhere near it. But I thought it was kind of weird how the main story just kind of felt like we're moving on to the next thing. We're going to do this and then move on to the next thing. And it never really felt compelling to me. And there were many times, like I think the first 100 hours I had gone to chapter 5 and then I was like, I'm just going to explore. So I spend all this time going all around the world trying to do as many of the towers to get to the islands in the sky, all of that stuff, and had a really good time. And then I was like, okay, I think I need to keep advancing because it's just a little bit harder now trying to go to like the other side of the map. So the last, 80 hours or so, I was just mainlining the main story, which was easy because I had really good equipment at this point. And, the game always felt good. I was playing on normal difficulty, and it always felt fair. At times it felt easy. Other times it felt kind of hard because they want you to utilize their mechanics that they give you, right? Like, you can get a power-up move where you can slow down time, absorb all the things being shot at you, and then send it back at them, which is a really cool move.
That sounds cool.
And some bosses, you need to do that, or you're just going to get spanked. But the main story in this game, if you actually sit down and try to find out about the actual lore in this game by doing all this stuff, it's interesting. It's kind of different. I still would say the story is the weakest part of the game because I enjoyed everything else about it a lot more. I think once I started getting to the final areas, I really liked my build. I liked my weapons, and the devs have done such a good job with listening to player feedback in a way that reminds me of No Man's Sky, but Pearl Abyss is just dropping updates it feels like almost every 2 weeks, and they're big ones. They just gave people, not too long ago, where you can have birds as pets. Now they're doing where you can have a pond at your camp, so now you can have fish for food, and they're just constantly giving content to people and efficiently when people talk about it, which is kind of awesome because you don't really see that. But I also think it's that kind of MMO mentality where, players will constantly talk about something, and then in an MMO, it's pretty easy to implement changes like that. Whereas you don't really see that too many in single player games, but they're applying that kind of style of updates to this game. And, who knows, maybe in 3 months, the game will be very different by the things they change in it. But yeah, they said there was going to be, I think, some more story expansion stuff soon. And, I'm interested. I want to see more because, I will say this, there's five regions, 6 regions. And there's a part that you just don't really go to, in the main story at all. And it's weird because I'm like, this could be an interesting spot. It's basically you would go there if you wanted to do all the side missions and wanted to just explore. And it's a cool place. I was like, man, I'm happy they didn't try to pad the story by making you go to this place. But at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of wild that you make a whole area that your story doesn't push you to just for players to explore. And
I mean, that sounds very MMO, right?
Yes.
Here's this whole section of the map that you're not going to go to yet. So I wonder if that's because they made Crimson first, right? Or was it Crimson? No, Black Desert first, which is their full MMO game. So it's the same formula, right? So I wonder if that's the next part. Now, the thing is, though, what I'm curious about, you've already dumped 180 hours into it, right? So
yeah.
Will you be going back whenever there's a new update? Right? It's the same thing with any other MMO. It's oh, hey, by the way, we dropped this new thing. Are people really going to go back to this?
If I had nothing big going on, if my main focus were mostly retro games at the time, I think I would check it out because I really liked my build where it really made playing the game a lot of fun. So it'd be fun to just see my build again. I like the way my character looks, and I probably would. I would say I probably would just focus on the main quest in it and wouldn't really do too much else because I don't really want to spend another 100 hours in the game. I feel like I got everything I wanted out of that game, and I was very happy with where I left off.
Right.
I was starting to feel that burnout a little bit towards the end, and I was like, you know what? I'm mainlining it. I'm just going to do it, and I'm happy I did. Because overall, I really enjoyed this game. despite the story being lackluster and the beginning of the game being so tough to get through in a weird way. I don't know why, but it was just like I really didn't like the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the payoff is kind of worth it because it is a beautiful world to explore with so many things to kind of find. And, my fear was that everything is kind of look the same. And
Right.
there's times it does have that feeling, but the world has so many different regions to see and they all look different for the most part that it was just fun. I don't know. Like, I feel like you could really live in this world and play it for a long time. I've seen people online say they already got 400 hours in and stuff. And I get it. Like, it's such a big game. And the amount of side missions that, are meaningful, there's a lot. And it's crazy because they're huge lines. Like, I don't know, just one region alone will have like over 60. And some of them are huge where it's like, oh, you're taking over this castle and now you're going to get something special from it. And the castle stays forever changed. And it's just cool. I don't know. Like, if I was to give this game a rating, I would probably say it's the best 7 out of 10 open world game maybe I've played. Just because I feel like I could dock a whole point for the story, and I feel like sometimes that beginning and the controls and stuff were bad enough to dock another point. So, a 7, 8, somewhere around there. And, I think I have my fill for open world games for a very long time. I think I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play any for a long time. But I'm glad I played this game. I think that if this game was on sale, like a $40 game, something like that, I'd say it's absolutely worth it. 70, I got my money's worth with hours, but in the back of my mind, I was always kind of sitting there like, man, I hate spending that much money on a game for the most
Right.
part if I'm not like 100% enjoying it the whole time. But like I said, once I got halfway through that game, I was just having a lot of fun just living in it.
Mm.
And the characters are, for the most part, fun. There's none that are really memorable. And that's kind of what it is. I think the other thing I want to touch on real quick is that a lot of people say the game is soulless, which there's a reason why the main character Cliff feels very soulless, right? In the story, you kind of understand it, but you got to dig for it. But it does make the game somewhat hard to get into because your main character is just so dry and kind of boring. And a lot of the characters just seem very generic. So, that was the other issue I had with the game. So people aren't wrong about that. But I think if you just want to play a game to get lost in and explore, that's beautiful to boot and does have a lot of fun gameplay mechanics once you get into it. I don't think you can go wrong with this game, But if you're like even on the fence about it, I'd be like, just wait till a sale. I think this is one of those games where it's like, it's not a must play, but for a good price, it's a good escape.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like right there on the fence about it, but at the same time, given the show and what a lot of the reviewers are probably afraid of too, right? Like, we need to keep playing games, right? Like, I can't just keep talking about the same game over and over again. So it definitely makes it really difficult to like really sink your teeth into something like this massive, which is unfortunate because I feel like if we weren't doing this, I probably would have picked it up, right? And been okay with, over the next like 2-3 months, this is all I'm playing, right? But I can't really do that. It would be a disservice to everyone here listening to the show, right? Like, yeah, it makes it tough. It really does, like being able to balance your time that way. Because, there's also life and everything else that gets in the way too, right? So it's not like you can just say, oh, all my free time I'm going to be doing this, right? Like, no, we need some sanity as well. Can't just play games all the time. Broaden your horizons other ways too, so.
It's true.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but I've definitely, if it gets on sale, maybe I'll pick it up and I'll try it out, see how it goes, because it does look really cool. I think that's the biggest problem. But the $70 is a lot. That's I feel like
Yeah.
nowadays, especially like the more I'm looking at the prices of games and new games coming out, like I'm really weighing like, do I really, really, really want to play this game? Right? Like the same thing happened with Pragmata. Like I really want to play
Mm.
that game, but I also know it's shorter, right? It's not that long. It's a great looking game, but price tag's a little heavy for how much game you're actually getting nowadays, right? So I think a lot of players are starting to really look into that. But maybe that's why we're getting such a rise in the more like open-ended style games, right? Like your cozy games that you can play for hours and hours and hours, like hundreds of hours and all that stuff, right? Like it feels like more games like that are coming out, or more roguelikes with replayability, more survival games that are just kind of like endless games, right? Like that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, is that people are saying like, well, I want more game, more content for the price tag. So like, cool, like the game designers are listening to that and saying, well, we'll just get rid of storyline kind of games and we're just going to give you, boom, here it is. Here's 700 hours of content if you really want it, right? Like you can play this for the rest of your life. How's that for a $70 ticket, right? Like it does feel like a lot of the games now coming out are kind of following suit with that. And that's what I was noticing too whenever I was trying to like figure out what I want to play. And nothing has really been jumping out at me too much, but there's a couple of titles that I was like, oh, this looks like a fun one. I mean, we both really love Balatro, right? Like that game was a lot of fun. It's great, and it's kind of given us a lot of different styles of games with using the card mechanics, right? And it seems to be a very ongoing thing. I mean, card games are not anything new, but taking basic games like poker or whatnot and turning them into roguelikes with interesting mechanics is pretty cool. Like it's actually inspired some of the students I work with, especially in the video game design classes, to make things like chess 2.0, right? Like one kid's trying to figure out how to make chess better and make it more like you can put stat points into your chess pieces and all this stuff, which I was like, oh, it's kind of funny. But there's a game that I was checking out. It's called Blackjack. It is basically roguelike blackjack game. Very cool aesthetic. I like it a lot. The runs are pretty short. They're pretty simple as far as that goes. The mechanics that you can put on your cards are pretty interesting. So there's things that you can do to hinder the dealer versus yourself, right? Like, so you can give someone a -3, or you can give yourself a -3, right? Like, or you increase the values of cards, or next card played, or there's so the way that the board is set up, just so that you can kind of get a visual, there's 5 cards or 5 slots that you can put out cards, and then you have your sleeve, which you can pocket things like pocket and ace, right? There are 3 main areas in which you can play cards out that won't cost you anything. But there are 2 slots that if you place a card there, you have to ante up, right? So you bet 1 more coin, but they have a special effect on them, right? So it's like, it's a little different. Like for instance, one of them on this image that I'm looking at currently, if I play a card there, then I demand a face card, right? Which means that I will get a face card from my deck for the next draw, right? So that's like the next thing. So the whole point is to get to 21. Don't let your opponent get to 21. If you both end up at 21, it's high card wins, right? Those are kind of rules. But all the cards have different types of abilities, things that they can do, and you're just kind of making it through that way. The overarching story behind it, it's like you're in hell, right? Making your way out playing blackjack, I guess, right? It's not important. That part's definitely not important, right? But it is interesting seeing this kind of new style of card game coming out, or gaming itself, right? So we had like Balatro, Clover Pit was interesting. I tried that too for a little bit. And then now we have Blackjack, right? So there's all kinds of new, like these gambling roguelike games using simple mechanics that everybody understands to then build out an interesting game, right? So it is kind of, I like the way that they're doing this. I do find it really interesting. It is an interesting way of not having to explain the rules as much, right? Like, yes, they are adding on new mechanics of, pluses, minuses, things like that, right? These effects. But if you know the general rules of blackjack, you can just start playing, right? It's the same thing with Balatro. If you just know the basics of poker, then you can just start playing. The rest of the mechanics will happen around you and they'll start to make sense, right? So it is kind of cool. I mean, and the visuals, I will say, they are great. They're gorgeous. This is also on Game Pass. I do think it's totally worth it for Game Pass, right? I mean, it's on sale right now too. It's only like a $15 game anyway, but to try it out on Game Pass for free, that's not too bad, So definitely, if you're into those kind of games and you need something like a quick little run-based game, this is a great one to pick up and try out. It is fun and visually great looking, in my opinion. So, I don't know.
I'm kind of a sucker for these kind of card games. Like, I know they're big, right? Like, and I was just playing Forbidden Solitaire, which is new. It's from the people that did the, oh god, what's it called? Home Safety Hotline, which is kind of like a visual novel, kind of maybe closer to like Hypnospace Outlaw, but different. But Forbidden Solitaire is kind of like, it's solitaire, but it has like this crazy like story, like, oh, you found like a 1995 CD or something of this game that never should have existed. So it's like this dark kind of storyline, even though you're playing solitaire, right? But it has this crazy weird stuff added to it. And then I'm seeing that with all these games where it's like just taking like classic card games and changing them just a little bit, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know, I feel like the past 3-4 years this has become a big thing, where we're kind of getting away from that like Slay the Spire style where it's like almost like specialized cards, and we're getting more back into like, here are the cards you're probably used to if you've done any kind of card games in real life, which is, it's cool because I feel like it can pull people in a little bit easier. That way. But yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for I used to be for these kind of games. Regency Solitaire, I love, like all of those. But I haven't played one of these in a while other than Forbidden Solitaire, which has been scratching the itch. But I'm like, it's such an easy kind of game to play on the go. I wish I had it on my phone or something.
Yeah, I do feel like these games, because they're more simple, like it's like you said, using mechanics that you're already used to, really does make it feel like these could be great phone games. I think that would be the perfect place for them, honestly. So, but yeah it is pretty fun. I'm digging it. But real quick, there's another like open-endy kind of game that I was just trying out as well. But it was, do you want to talk about Outbound? Just a little bit, nothing too crazy. For those of you who don't know about Outbound, just think about Raft, because, Raft was a pretty big game. It's a survival game, but this one's on land, right? And you get to, it's basically just camping the game. Or like living out of your van, the game. So you basically are just driving around the forest, the woods, picking up materials, things like that. You have like a full on like engineering workbench, like 3D printer in the back of your van. And you use like trees and things to fuel your van as well. And you're basically just building things up. You can put stuff on the roof. You can fill up the inside of your van, all that. You can fully decorate it out. And you're just kind of driving around, collecting things. You might run into like, oh, there's a block path, like some trees fell, so I need to get an axe. So then you just kind of venture around. There's little like science stations or research stations where you can go there and it's like, oh, let me get the blueprint for an axe and then come back, build that. Now I can continue driving, right? So it's just kind of like drive around the game where you're just kind of like figuring out little things about the world, having some fun with that. It is multiplayer as well, so you can play with a party of 4 where you're all just kind of working on the van together, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think it is following that trend right now. Like I said, I feel like I'm just noticing a lot of cozy, open-ended kind of games like this. Just waiting for that big one to drop. I need something a little bit more story-focused to come in my life pretty soon here. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I can't just keep playing these open-ended games, to be honest. I need some story. I need something. Which there is stuff coming out soon that I'm very excited about, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, I think it's just little quick games. Maybe some old. I've been venturing into some like older titles as well, but nothing to really harp on just yet. Right? Just kind of dip my toes in for now.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like, you know, I started Breath of Fire 2, but I'll save that for, you know, after we're done with our whole Star Fox thing. I've started the Yoshi Mysterious Book, which just came out, and I actually gotten pretty far into it. I guess I'll talk about this for a quick second, but I really like it. You know, it's very simple. It's very easy. I've been, you know, in the last episode, I was talking about how I was playing Yoshi's Crafted World with my daughter, and she's getting really into it. I started playing this game. It's single player, so it is a little bit different for her because she can't just run around with me. But she likes that you can kind of just do whatever the hell you want in these little like play areas, because the premise of the game is you are trying to fill out this book, and it's almost like a bestiary of like different things in the habitat. And you know, you eat it and it's like, oh, this person is slimy. And then what happens if you jump on it? Oh, what happens if you throw it? Like, do different stuff. Basically, you're just messing with these creatures in every way possible in the environment. And, you know, that doesn't sound like anything crazy, but when you're actually trying to get some of the later entries in those chapters of those characters, it becomes almost more like a puzzle game in a way I was not expecting that to be like in a Yoshi game. So it's a very simple idea, and if you're just like kind of mainlining it, it's very easy. But if you're trying to get all these things in the pages, it's like, oh, you actually kind of have to think and put things together. And when I beat it, I will definitely talk about it more. But initial thoughts, I'm like, I'm really liking it. The art style is just gorgeous to it too.
It looks really, really fun. I like that idea though. It kind of reminds me of like Miyamoto is like the way that he tests game mechanics, right? Because he always he harps on the fact that like a game mechanic needs to be the main focus, and then the rest can come, right? Because if Mario jumping wasn't fun, then what's the point? So like he'd build like a whole room where he can just jump around. Like that's the whole purpose. It's every style of jump and playing and figuring things out. So it just creates like a little playground. So it's funny. It kind of sounds like they made the Yoshi game, because like that
Feels
part
like
is fun. Like it is fun just figuring things out and seeing what happens, and like testing out the overall mechanics themselves. So that's really cool. I like that. But yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little conversation here into some of the games we've been playing through and the closure on Crimson Desert, right? This huge endeavor, clocking in almost 200 hours. That's kind of crazy, Chris. That's fun. It's been a while since I've done that with a game, and I've missed those days. I need to go back into that. I think the last one I did that one was like Monster Hunter Worlds, maybe? I did like almost 400 hours across 2 different platforms with that game. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week with some more games. Actually, next week is going to be the game of the month, where we talk about everything Star Fox, everything that we've been checking out and playing over this past month. So we're really excited about that, because it's been a lot of fun diving into this world here. You know, the games are great. They're fun. It's Star Fox, right? So be ready for that one next week. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys then. And until then, bye for now.